Hi everyone, welcome to the Muster Drill. I'm Scott, and today we're going to be talking about Royal Caribbean's healthy sail protocols. Welcome back everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. So we're going to be talking about Royal Caribbean's healthy sail protocols that everyone might remember. They created their Healthy Sail panel back in 2020. It's comprised with a bunch of people who know a bunch of stuff about all these kinds of things, including the former FDA chairman. So Royal Caribbean has outlined a list of protocols they're going to be following, starting with the August sailings. These include things like vaccinated and unvaccinated areas of ship, which we'll get to in a moment. But like to start with, Royal has updated the air handling systems of filtering on all of their ships to include new filters that will filter out all of the particles. They indicate that it's virtually impossible for small particles like those from, say, COVID-19 to get through to those areas, and that of course will be for any indoor area, your staterooms, hallways, common areas of the ship, etc. They're also going to be using some new cleaning, methods as well. They've got some EPA-approved cleaners and chemicals that, are safe, but also guaranteed to kill such things like coronavirus, and they're going to be using those on the ship surfaces and stuff, as well as they're going to be using some electrostatic cleaning devices to clean the air. A lot of hotels and stuff have been using those, to disinfect the air in the rooms and the hallways and stuff. So they're definitely, the technology has been around for a while. It's definitely something that I believe will work. And then of course, they've got their onboard hospital, sick bay, whatever you want to call it. I guess sick bay is more of a military term, but basically they've got their, medical center on board. They've got hospital, a lot of hospital related equipment and things like that in there. And of course they've got doctors and nurses and stuff, and they're all, they've all been updated and probably had some input on some of this stuff as well. And of course they're prepared to deal with people on the ship who would get sick with COVID. I mean, at this point that's pretty much what we're talking about when we're on the ship now. We're talking about COVID-19. So those are some of the things they've done to the ship and stuff. So then they've developed a pretty extensive policy as well, on board policy on how to deal with COVID related issues. So some of those are going to be things like, for instance, they're going to have a checklist that you need to go through, they want you to check in, do your online check-in about 30 days prior to the to sail date. They're gonna want you to do if you're unvaccinated, they're gonna want you to do a PCR test. That's obviously an approved PCR test. I can't imagine where you'd find an unapproved PCR test these days, but in any event, they want you to do that and and submit that to them. They want that done 3 days within 72 hours of the sail date. Of course, they want 1 day prior to the sail date. There's going to be a questionnaire on their app or on their website or whatever. You're going to everybody, vaccinated or unvaccinated, are going to have to submit to that. And then on top of that, then they're going to do questions and stuff like that when you actually get to the ship. So when you get to the terminal, when you're, it's cruise day, and yay, cruise day, and, and you're all excited and everything, and you get in there. So then they're going to do all that. So some of the things that are going to be different on board, of course, is they're going to have, certain venues and certain events and stuff that are going to be, for vaccinated passengers only, so one of those things is going to be the casino, for instance. The casino is going to, because of the constraints of the casino, on the ship, it's, not like these big mega, casinos or whatever. So the casino is going to be for vaccinated passengers only. And from what I can tell, there's not been a specific time or, day or whatever that they're going to designate for unvaccinated people. So unvaccinated people who, like to, play games and stuff, well, they're going to be out of luck on this one. So, unfortunately, at least for the short term, they're not going to be able to do that. And then, we've got other things as well as, the treatment rooms and the spa. So, where they're going to do the facials and the pedicures and the massages, those are going to be for vaccinated people only. So, unfortunately, again, there's unvaccinated people are going to be out of luck on that one. Then we get to some of the fees, that are going to be, before we get to the fees, we'll say this. Well, then there's going to be the shows, the main shows. There's going to be spacing, social distancing going on in the shows, at least in the short term. I'm sure they'll have it, they'll have them, roped off, probably not roped off. They'll probably have like a little, sign or something on it or whatever, or cover for the seat or whatever that'll say, don't sit here, so, so then, you don't sit there, and they're going to have more shows, throughout the time, so that they can accommodate smaller groups, because obviously there's going to be less capacity in the theater. So, and I don't know if that's going to include like an all vaccinated show and an unvaccinated show. I mean, I don't know. And I think that it's really going to probably, some of that might even actually just be sort of on the fly, like, how many unvaccinated people are going to be on that sailing. With Carnival, they know they have 5%, and they know whatever that is going to be based on that sailing's capacity. So with them, they're going to get these people submitting that information. They're going to know where the cutoff is. If they have more than 5%, well, first come, first serve on Carnival. So those people are going to be out of luck, and that's the end of it. On the other one, on Royal, I'm not, I'm sure, I don't know. It'll depend on, I guess, on how many unvaccinated people are actually on that sailing. And if it's, below their threshold or whatever, I'm not sure how they'll handle that. But in any event, they're going to have more shows throughout the time, and, because it's going to be a limited capacity in that theater. And then I think they're going to have other, venues and stuff too, where it's going to be, vaccinated only. So, and I'm sure they'll post that in the, in the digital, news, daily newsletter, what they call that on, gosh, I can't even remember what they call that on Royal Caribbean. That's terrible. So cruise planner. So I'm sure they're going to have it in the cruise planner, and, maybe daily, maybe they'll have any announcements and things like that. I'm sure they'll have big signs out front of the, of the venue and stuff like that, and it's going to, upset a bunch of people and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, so then we're going to get to some of the fees. So for the unvaccinated on short cruises, they're going to have to pay a $136 fee to cover all of the, testing expenses and anything else that they're going to have to do on board. They're going to have to wear masks, and, they're going to have to social distance and things like that. So they're definitely going to have less freedoms and less liberties. I really think that it's not going to be terrible. I really think that, in my opinion, just my opinion, I think that it's going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be terrible. I think the unvaccinated will still be able to enjoy themselves on the ship. I think that they will, find that those restrictions are, less restricting. So, we'll see how it goes. We'll just have to see how some of that goes. I mean, so far I haven't heard any issues from the unvaccinated who've sailed. So, we'll keep our eyes out for that. The other thing is, if it's a longer 6-day or longer, it's going to be a slightly higher fee, $178. Again, it's going to cover, the onboard testing and things. So they're also, unvaccinated passengers are going to have to provide proof of travel insurance that includes COVID-19 medical expenses, because a lot of travel policies don't. They actually have COVID-19 exclusions, and they aren't covering it. I mean, there are definitely newer products that have had to be developed in order to cover that, but some of the traditional legacy travel products and stuff don't cover COVID-19 related issues. And of course, Royal Caribbean has thresholds for the medical coverage on the policy. I believe it's like a minimum of $25,000 and travel expenses and things like that. So of course we all heard of the stories about the Royal Caribbean passengers who were unvaccinated. They tested positive. They were basically essentially kicked off the ship. I mean, obviously they were very upset about it, but at the same time, and there was some mix-up or something with the check-in process, and where they ended up getting wristbands that had them showing as vaccinated, and then when they realized it, they came to them and said, hey, listen, it was a mistake, we're sorry, but we need to test you. One of them tested positive. She insists that she wasn't positive. She, tested herself 1,000 times when she got home, and, she said she was not positive, and she was, really upset about it. Lots of stories about it, so won't go into any more of that, but obviously, they were flown home at Royal Caribbean's expense, private aircraft, for whatever that was worth, they flew them home, so they didn't have that expense. And, so obviously, moving forward, the unvaccinated are going to have coverage for that. I can't imagine that Royal Caribbean's going to, keep footing the bill for that, which is one of the reasons why they put this, policy in place, so that, they get it taken care of, and so that they, so the unvaccinated are taking the lion's share of the responsibility of, okay, you're allowed to sail, but here's going to be some of the additional expenses and the additional issues that you're going to run into when you're going to sail. So, yeah, so those are some of the things, and I'm sure that's going to upset a bunch of people. I know that the unvaccinated people, that whether they want to get vaccinated or don't want to get vaccinated, or they can't get vaccinated, that's going to be probably a thin line, maybe, I don't know, and I would have to imagine that, again, this is my opinion about it. I don't know for sure, but I would have to imagine that those who can't get vaccinated for some reason, who are also cruise-loving people who want to go on cruises, who are going to have to, pay those expenses and deal with some of those extra restrictions. I would hope that they would, just take that in stride and be done with it. But I'm sure there's going to be some other people who, don't want to get it and are going to feel like they're being discriminated against. And hey, listen, it's a private company. They're under intense pressure from the CDC. There has been that, that back and forth between Florida and the CDC. So far, it seems like Florida's winning. And, but at the same time, I think the cruise line is still trying to do what's right, whether they're being required to or not by the CDC, and that'll all get worked out later. But I think the cruise lines are trying to do what's best, and what makes sense, and that's what makes sense in this situation. With Delta and stuff, it's extremely contagious. It's a highly virulent virus, and this is what makes sense. The cruise lines have finally been given the opportunity to get back to, you know, back to business, and we're all happy about that. Yay. So, because we can't wait, because we got a cruise coming up on the Carnival Horizon in October, and we've got another one on the Anthem in January. So, you know, so we're definitely, you know, loving that we can get back to that, and we can't wait to get back on board. So, you know, so obviously the cruise lines don't want to, you know, cause too many problems at this point, and, you know, and then be told, hey, guess what, we gotta shut you down again. So, and that'll be, oh my God, I can't even imagine the mess that would be. But anyway, so, okay, so that's, you know, some of the stuff that's going on with Royal Caribbean. There's probably a bunch of stuff I missed. I apologize for that. So I'm sure I'll try to link, you know, some of the websites to, you know, in this video, so that you can go and check some of that stuff out on your own. So that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to like this video. That'll really help us out a lot. Thanks again, and we'll see you again tomorrow, maybe.